Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to week 9 of the NFL in Zesty's Best Bets, our college football season as well. We are recording Thursday night as the Steelers and Titans are underway. And we're going to start off our week talking about the Dolphins game. Zesty, your pick here was the Dolphins over. It's the numbers at 50.5. Betting public, I know you like the Dolphins plus 1.5. Tell me about the Dolphins Chiefs game. Who wants to start?
Yeah. Lead into that. Public and I got together. We had a little conversation. So over 9 weeks, we're both profitable, which is tough to do. Shooting in a barrel.
Somehow though college football is carrying me, and I have no idea if that's sustainable.
Yeah, I say I hate them fucking college kids, but I don't want to put a monetary number on it in case government officials come across. But it was very profitable for me the last 2 weeks. So stay in tune for the lightning round. I'll let the public tell us something we don't know, and I'll see if I agree or disagree with the fighting McDaniels and Mr. Mahomes.
The public tell us something we don't know about the Dolphins.
I'd love to, but everybody knows everything about the Dolphins. They're on primetime a lot because they're fun to watch. And it's going to be a lot more fun in Germany when Tyreek Hill gets a little revenge on his former team. I don't know how big of a revenge it is since the Chiefs won the Super Bowl last year, so it won't really matter in the grand scheme of things. But I see the Dolphins being in a better position offensively and getting better on defense with Ramsey and others coming back. So with the Chiefs struggling on offense, I think Miami can put enough pressure on their defense. And I don't know that the Chiefs have enough firepower right now to really keep up with Miami's offense improving, because the last I checked, other than Nicole Hardman, who they recently acquired, and Kadarius Toney, who can't catch, it's a bunch of guys who won a sweepstake contest at St. Louis that they have on the field. So there's not much in offense for them. That's why I'm on the Dolphins. And I actually think this game goes under the 51.5 point total because I'm not sure the Chiefs score 20.
Not sure the Chiefs scored 20. So you're just more on the fact that Miami has more offensive weapons and the Chiefs have not looked like they have any weapon to speak of outside of Travis Kelce.
So that's all I think.
Tell me, does that sound right to you, Mr. Zesty?
I'm not going to say Andy got embarrassed. I don't know if Taylor Swift's going to show up, but Kelsey will show up this week. Little caveat, assuming I use that word correctly. Clay Martin, who's the head official of this game, he is 6-1 for the over. Most profitable over official group. I know they're heading across the seas there. They're going to figure it out. Miami still doesn't stop anybody. I've got it on the total. I don't have Kansas City, but Kansas City at plus or minus 1.5 is a good bet. Miami hasn't proved that they can step up the competition quite yet, but they have proved they can score. KC's defense is there, but I guess I'm going with the officials on this one.
I don't mind going with the officials. That's interesting knowledge just to know they're over in Germany. You know they want a good showing. So let's send over the guys who we're going to allow some points. Let them boys play a little loosey-goosey. Or maybe it's not loosey-goosey. I mean, what do you think? Explain to me how the referee may favor points. I mean, is it something
Because
where
of holding.
they're not letting DBs and receivers play?
Pass interference.
Yeah, that's kind of where my mind goes.
Explain to me how, because I'm looking at them right now. I've added this to my capping repertoire. I don't want to put too much into it, but for instance, we might get into tonight's game, but Pedo Stash Hussey leads the league in unders. And unless Tennessee covers, it's going to go under again. So there's something to how they call games to allow how it plays. You can say Tennessee versus Pittsburgh, but ultimately, whether anybody wants to accept it is how they call crucial penalties or non-crucial penalties does affect the totals and sometimes the outcomes.
Yeah, knowing what I know now, I'm betting on the over.
You're gonna get
Because I
Roger
don't know that I
Goodell
can
on our
pick a
ass.
favorite. Say that again. I don't know. I said I don't know that I can pick a favorite, but I didn't hear what you said.
Oh, I was just saying, you guys are trying to get Roger Goodell on our ass.
Yeah, please. Roger, if you hear us, if you're listening to the podcast, please feel free to chime in. If you're available, then we would love to have you on. That being said, we'll move on to our next pick on the sheet. It's the Vikings under. That number is super low. It's 37 points, and you don't think they're going to get there. It's just all about Kirk Cousins being out. You don't believe in Jaron Hall. What's going on there, Zesty? Tell me about it.
Yeah, it's a little bit of combo of everything. Both are playoff wishful thinking. Mr. Heineken, he is good for a spurt. I do think they're not going to regress. The problem is Atlanta hasn't surpassed that, but Jaron Hall, we don't know. This is going to be probably similar to the Rams Cowboys last week, which I did not expect, and I've got egg on my face, but I'm okay with it. It's going to be one or two things. It's going to be 30 total points, or they're going to cover it at halftime. I had notes, but I have Sean Smith.
Breaking news: the Steelers' interception ends that game at 20-16.
Under covers, but for those watching, I took the points on one of my bets. So
I did not.
yeah, wait till he tells you the rest of his. Anyway, back to
But you also had the
scope.
Tennessee under.
Correct.
So you took the points, but you took the under first.
And I also had Wake Forest. They covered. and Texas Tech over. They covered. But let's
Hey,
not get off track here, public, on trying to flex on so back to the Minnesota game. So Sean Smith is also the referee for the Vikings Falcons. He is 1-6-0 to the under. Plays under. He's got a high he loves favorites, straight up favorites, but no ATS. Same instance we had this evening. Outside of the favorites covering for little pedal stash, it did fall in line with the totals. So,
Like right on line with the total.
yeah.
36 points.
Yeah. I don't believe in. I know Heineke from the Redskins days, but I also know Jaron Hall from the BYU days. He's yet to prove anything. Atlanta is still in. Both of these guys are still in playoff competition, and they've yet to prove anything. Long story short, outside of the referee assignments, it's going to be played close to the chest. It might go one way or the other. Backing forward of the Vikings would be bold, if I'm not wrong. There's no way in hell you back the Falcons at 4 because it's a terrible number. And if you're not a degenerate, you're probably not betting this game anyway, unless you have what I feel is value on the under.
what kind of blind faith in either one of these quarterbacks to just come in and win a job or, prove themselves as NFL starting quarterbacks. Just
Heineke's
a
my
fire
boy.
into someone's ass.
Heineke's my boy. I guarantee you Pitts probably scores a touchdown this week. But that doesn't mean the total goes over.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think, maybe a fire is under someone's ass, but it's like you said, we get into a 2-possession lead. Why would you do anything but run the ball and try and just protect that lead? I see what you're saying here. Public, any other additional thoughts on this game?
The two things that you need to know are Jaron Hall is a quarterback and Taylor Heineke is a quarterback in an NFL game. Does that sound like 5 touchdowns plus a field goal to you? Fuck no. So take that under.
We're on to Indianapolis. The Indianapolis under. Another game where we're just not rooting for points. But that's because they're in Carolina this week. Need I say more? Tell me what you have to say about this, Zesty. I mean, just other than inexperience and poor play at the quarterback position.
Yeah, I promise this isn't like a new portion of my caffeine, but you start going down the list. Vilovinovic, who is the official for this game, 5 unders. Very profitable. So 2 of the 3 most profitable unders. They have a bye week, apparently. I didn't know referees had a bye week. Maybe they have multiple bye weeks, but the cap here is where do the points come from? Neither defense is great or terrible. They're average. But the offenses are nor great or terrible. I wish I had getting lost in my screens here, but I wish I had the comparisons that. So if we want to say Indianapolis from a visual standpoint runs the ball great, Carolina's pretty decent against the run. On the flip side, the Colts have played some barn burners, but it was against C.J. Stroud, Trevor Lawrence, some of these other quarterbacks that don't have Young doesn't have the pedigree or the talent around them to do this. I think both of these teams get marked as a terrible team. They're not a playoff team. But any given Sunday, I just don't see where points come from. Honestly, Minshew, everybody likes the back because he's cool. He's the backup. He's the this generation of Fitzmagic or Fitz
Mustache.
Yeah, everybody's like, oh yeah, he can do it. He's average at best. He's below average, honestly, but he's a good backup that might win you a game, might come in when you have an injury, but when teams can scheme against you, even the Panthers, he's going to struggle. And then the Panthers don't have explosive weapons. Thielen can be a security blanket all day long, but they still don't score touchdowns. So if you don't score touchdowns, hence this evening's game, total doesn't usually go over outside of a turnover, which is possible, but you can't cap for a defensive turnover.
Yeah, I agree with everything said there. Where are the points coming from? You know where the points are coming from, betting public? You got any interest in this game at all? Any fantasy players on your team? Like any hopes and dreams going on here?
Well, I'll tell you where the points are not coming from, and that's Jonathan Taylor and the Colts, which means you're reliant upon the Panthers to come up with all the 44 points for the most part, because Taylor's on my fantasy team, and I desperately need him to do something. So that won't be happening. Fade my fantasy team to win your gambling league. So plain and easy for me. Take the under.
On to the next pick. Zesty, you got the Packers. Alexa, stop trying to podcast. We got the Packers -3. And they're at home against the Rams. Public, you're not on this game. So,
I am.
Oh, you are? All right. Tell me about it first, Zesty. You lead the way.
Yeah, so it's a 2-4. It's like I said, I'm a glutton for punishment. This is not a referee. None of these bets were referee heavy. There was a lot of things that played into it. Then I looked into the referees, but this game specifically, I don't love the number because there's some doubt with Stafford. So I think the number's inflated. This is probably the high end of it. Even if if Stafford plays, it does change the side, not the total. I still think the total is the play to have under 38.5. I should take better notes, but I kind of know it off the top of my head. Is something like 20-0-1 that when the Rams face a team that runs less than, we'll call it 30, but I'm pretty sure the number was 24.5. The under is 20-0-1. And there's nothing to love about the Packers at all to back them in the fact that they're the 3-point favorite. Raised to question whether or not Stafford plays. So I'm not in love with the -3. But I do love the total. Although, excuse me, I love that total if Stafford plays. When Stafford plays, if he plays, it's going to be probably closer to 40, which I would come back and probably hit that again. But I think if we want to divide it sides and totals, under essentially anything under 39, or I guess over 39, and then on the Packer side, if you get under a field goal, I would heavily lean towards them as well.
Public, tell me why it's going to be the Rams in the over.
So this is an interesting area where my pick is actually based on super contest strategy more than anything. I have not purchased a ticket yet with the book, but with super contest, you can lock in the line early in the week if you get it, if you make your pick, and then if the line changes, you can go back and you can adjust your pick or pick a different team. It doesn't lock in until kickoff, right? So I've got the Rams here at +3 under the assumption Stafford plays, which I think they're counting on him not. But Stafford's one of the toughest son of a bitches in the NFL. So he is absolutely likely to just numb the shit out of his thumb to the point where he can barely feel the ball. And then I think he can probably hit Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua. That's a fucking tongue twister right there. Enough times to get over the edge with Green Bay. I don't mind the bet on the under. I think that's probably going to be the way this game goes because the Rams are pretty tough on defense, and Jordan Love still is not quite sure if he's an NFL quarterback. So that's where I lean. But in the moment we find out whoever the hell the Rams backup is, Brett Ripien or whatever, if he's giving it a go on Sunday, then we'll be walking this back and. I probably won't take anything on the side, but I may join the under. Who knows?
This is week 3 that the public is praised Puka Nacua, like he got him off the free agent waiver wire or something. So
Yeah.
It's just a small coincidence. It has nothing to do with that.
Yeah. Maybe a little bias showing there midway through the season here, or close to midway through the season.
That's what I get for having absolutely no receivers coming out of the draft. So being the one who's desperately reaching for Puka early on. But it paid off for a few wins.
Full disclosure, receivers, hot take, they're a dime a dozen. When we're talking about fantasy, I'm sorry, they're just not valuable. Outside of Tyreek Hill, I don't care what receivers I have in my starting lineup. Week to week, there's no predicting anything. So what does it even matter? We're on
So,
to
moderator, I'll do a little 2-for-1, and then we can circle back to the Bengals.
yes, please.
So my 2-for-1, I went back and forth on I went from Tampa Bay money line. I don't know whose mic's on, but maybe we can mute that for a minute. I went from Tampa Bay money line to Texans -3. The reason being is Baker and Tampa Bay. I know they're two separate entities. We can put all the stats you want together, but they still have 0 covers against the ATS. So I had to pivot to the Texans. I like a lot of things the Texans are doing. Actually, super early in the week, I wanted to take Tampa Bay money line. I know I'm kind of walking it back relatively early. Did a little bit of research. I think the shine of Baker return is gone. Leave it at that. There's only one side to play. Outside of 6, probably shouldn't play Tampa Bay, even though we got a good defense. I think they are. Well, half of my reasoning to back them was, hey, Atlanta lost. But in the NFL, it doesn't work that way. It's not like they get extra motivation. Like, you are who you are. And the eye test had made me think, hey, maybe they're worth a damn, but they're not that good. The South is just that terrible. Moving on to another trend that I'm on the opposite of. So the Raiders, the last 2 weeks, have had back-to-back terrible trends.
Is the trend not throwing to Devontae Adams? Because I feel like I see that.
That's one of the trends.
That's a terrible trend.
It's trends of not covering multiple. There's a reason people were like, "Oh, hey, Raiders last week." There was trends, and then there's another trend this week, but I won't get into it because I'm on the opposite. It's a 0-12 trend, so I'm on the opposite of it. Giants, you prove, unless you play the Commanders, you can win a game. I have watched Antonio Pierce as a former Redskin and as an opponent, a Giant. He's a leader. He rallies the troops. He is now the interim head coach of the Raiders. Raiders got rid of GM, head coach, and starting quarterback. They said, fuck it, you're all done. And they find themselves a 1.5 favorite. So I'm on board. They're all hyped. Let's, let me smell the smoke, see the fire. That's pretty much my assumption. I can get into it a little more. They rush the passer really well. If the play calls are called correctly, and I'm not throwing smoke at anybody, but they run the ball very well. That's why a lot of people have backed them. They're a lot smarter than I am. I think they right the ship. One, I don't know how many times you watch Dayball on the sideline, but he looks about as dumbfounded as I can make myself look. He doesn't know what to do with his team. It's not like he's a bad coach, but man, his players make him look fucking dumb as shit. And I think I don't even care who the quarterback is because they all make him look fucking dumb. So maybe he is dumb. Then I thought we were saving time doing a 2-for-1 here, but for that reason, I'm on the under. Large Farva. Everybody likes him. Prove it. You're not going to be worse than Garoppolo or Hoyer. You're definitely not going to be worse than Hoyer. Neither one of these teams should be favored. It should be like the favorite should be push.
Two underdogs.
Yeah. But
a true underdog matchup.
To you, public, on the Bengals.
Well, you got the Bengals at -1.5. I got them at -2. And I think Joe Burrow is getting right, getting healthy. Calf is back. Jamar Chase starting to look great out there again. And the Bills are they're at the end of that window of being really great. And I think they've had too many injuries to the defense. They did just try to trade for another DB to help bolster the effort there, but all in all, I think the Bengals at home are the pick here, and they take care of business. And I think the under hits as well. Just not going to be enough points to get to that 50 mark, and that's likely going to be due to, I think the Bills being in the 20s. I'm sorry, the Bengals being in the 20s, maybe the high 20s, and doing enough on defense to keep the Bills out of the end zone other than maybe a couple times. So that's where I see it going. I know you're with me on the points that we're laying. Following the total?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd push back saying just enough. I actually think Cincinnati's defense is, as of today, better. This is so Cincinnati is 0-2 in division. They're 0-3 in conference. They need this game. If they have aspirations to move forward, again, this is the NFL. This isn't like extra motivation, extra hype. But if you were to ever to pay more attention, especially with Pittsburgh winning this evening, you lose this game, you're outside looking in. With, I would say, the second best quarterback in the league.
Yeah.
And they've got a daunting schedule ahead of them, so they need to win. If Buffalo loses, they're still in second place. And they've got the Patriots, which have a great coach, but, they are who they are. And then the Jets with Zach Wilson. So Buffalo, in theory, could have afford to lose this game. Nobody goes into the week preparing for that. That's why I'm thinking the extra attention. I don't like that everybody feels the same, but at the end of the day, it's prove it. Like, I still don't know how good Buffalo is. I don't know how good their offense is. I know how poor their defense is showing outside of Miami, but they're down two of the key cogs to that. So, to the total, I haven't given much thought, but I do disagree. Cincinnati scores more than 20. I would lean to the under because I don't think Buffalo scores more than 20. So take it as that.
Yeah, I've watched I've watched quite a bit of Buffalo play, and they are inconsistent as all hell. And Josh Allen is the very start of that. It's everything to them. I don't understand it really. How he can look so great on even drive to drive, just looks like a vastly different player. Sometimes it's weird, and makes you wonder because they've got some weapons there, and they like last week they clearly made an effort to try and work in Kincaid, but I just think he misses balls, he misses throws, he's not making good decisions a lot of the time. So even with some weapons there, Gabe Davis, Stephon Diggs, they've got pieces there. Clearly, they made a run very recently with the same pieces, but they're just not on the same page. I mean, and that's been pretty evident lately, the last few weeks.
If they don't have a running game, they're not calling out my boy Josh Allen by any means. But if there is no running game and anybody in the back is worth a fuck as far as coverage, I'm going to choose my words lightly, but he's kind of just a dude. He's an immense talent, but as far as that's why I said Burrow is number 2. I would take Burrow every day. Even obviously Joe Calf Burrow is hampered. But if Burrow can sling it on time with not being hampered, I'll take that all day over Josh Allen running for 50 yards with their own 2 picks.
Not a bad pick. I feel great about that, actually. We're the next thing I see on the sheet here, I guess we can move on to Dallas.
Them boys.
Yeah, Dallas +3. You guys agree on that? The
Take it away.
And the Zest.
This is exactly the type of game that Dallas wins against Philadelphia. This is a daytime game, nice and easy, afternoon session. Not going to have the pressure of prime time.
People like
Also,
you make them feel like world beaters. Everybody's
exactly.
going to feel on top of the world.
They win this game. They get the hype going in. And then the next time when they play the Eagles, when it really fucking matters, because it's for like the division or something, or maybe, a bye in the playoffs in the NFC, they'll shit the bed. So this is when we get the hype train rolling and get Stephen A. Smith all jazzed up on national television. And we just prepare for disappointment later. So Dallas +3. And As for the total, I say under 47, just because I think in a Dallas victory, the way that goes is they're able to keep Philadelphia out of the end zone enough, and it doesn't turn into a track meet. But that's kind of the way that I see the script playing out here this week.
Yeah, it's funny you said script because that was at the top of my mind, the tip of my tongue. I was like, this is just one of those scripted NFL games that we kind of all feel like we know the story and how it's going to play out. And what are your thoughts here, Zesty?
Yeah, Hurts is not 100%. He might not be on in the injury report by any means, but still, I've watched a lot of his games. Either people are the worst people in the world to say, hey, he's not an NFL quarterback, he's hurt. Clearly, he is limping around, so he is hurt. But as the public had mentioned, this is what the Cowboys do. And worst case scenario, they lose. I'm happy. I've bet against them and lost, so I was double unhappy. This is not the case. We can go back to week 2. I've said Eagles have had blemishes. This is a divisional game. The only step-up game Dallas has played, they got the brakes beat off of them. Still think McCarthy's a fucking doofus, but I still think the 3 is too much to lay, even on the road, because not that it plays in the game, but man, how good would it be for the Cowboys win out come Monday morning on the road against the best record team? I mean, like the public had said, this is what they do. And then they'll probably lose to whoever the fuck they play next week. Like, I like the under, but not much. I have no faith in the Eagles defense. Cowboys might win the game. Everybody thinks it's going to be close. The only way Cowboys win games is if it's fucking a blowout. And they look amazing. Everything goes to script. So I didn't play the total. Typically, division totals against like opponents, they play under. It's such a high total. It wouldn't shock me to blow out one way or the other. That's why I didn't play the total. If I did play the total, I would play a little more contrarian, saying the over. But much as I hate to say it, I think 3 on the Cowboys is the way to play the game.
Yeah, that got a little safety there at least. Even if they don't pull off the ultimate victory, like you said, to send Stephen A into a frenzy and just start the whole script in motion for ESPN's sake. Shall we move on to the Patriots or the Sea Chickens next?
Oh, we gotta hit the fucking reverse jinx alert. This is like, how many times are we gonna do this chicken shit? You bet against the fucking commies so that you can fucking feel good.
Yeah, no shit.
No, that is not the case here. Should have been a little more prepared here. But off of knowledge or memory, Bill Belichick dominates first time he's seen quarterback. Sam Darnold, same goes. The Commanders' defense, everybody says they have a defense. They don't have a defense. They're a game out and they sold pieces. I get it. They're not going to resign them. They gave away Chase Young. They literally could have, to my knowledge, kept him all year long. Got the same pick. But they want him out of the building. So if that's Ron Rivera saying, hey, fuck you, Bellamy, you're not going to take over my team. I'm going to fuck you while I got the chance. And then I started looking at the officials here. And home against the spread, which is the Patriots. He is right up there with the top dogs. So, favorites, ATS. Boom. He is, number one. ATS favorites that win.
For the
Now-
referee, that's what you're talking about?
Yeah, 7-0. 7-0. 7-0. Like the Patriots.
You're-
The Patriots are
familiar.
garbage. Like
So for the record, we have you attempting the reverse jinx and already blaming the refs. Just so everybody knows.
says right here, favorite against the spread win. 7-0. Ain't nobody else got a 0 in there. Ain't nobody else.
That is incredible. I have no idea where you're finding these stats, but they're if not useful, hilarious. So
Yeah, I just find them fascinating. I don't know. We'll see how the betting turns out, but if that trend continues, that's just fascinating to me that these referees are consistently, working their way into these fucking games. It's like more power to the robots, honestly. Get them the fuck off the field.
you know that Goodell has to be, once he finds out that they're tracking this, and if there's not some balance by the end of the year, some sort of regression back to being less obviously predictable, he is going to have a shit fit with the referees and just be like, can you not handle the crowd yelling at you? Like, what are you? You just go for the home team. Because that, if
Not
this
to
this
get on a
has
tangent,
statistical significance, this is insane.
I think it's deeper than that. I think they assign officials to areas like this. But
Yeah, I think that's what I'm seeing is like they assign the officials to the game to try and make the game play out the way they want to.
All right. Well, speaking of conspiracies, let's move on to the Ravens.
Tell me about the Sea Chickens and how you have any confidence in putting money on Geno Smith after all this time.
Well, that's a fair question. I again am taking the fade my fantasy team approach here. So I have Lamar Jackson and Justin Tucker, and Rashad Bateman as well for just a token effort there at receiver. To me, this is more about I think the Seahawks and Ravens being relative equals in terms of a lot of elements of football. Definitely, they're going to both play good defense, and they're both going to try and run the ball. So I think that lends itself to the under in terms of the line at 6 points. I think that you can get some value on the Seahawks here. They are on the road, but Pete Carroll pretty tough on the road. And, that was something I digged into with the Zests pushing a few weeks back with Pete Carroll on the road. And now I just see a Ravens team that, they can play great, but they can also play a little shitty. So I think they struggle to put the Seahawks away here. It's a closer game than 6 points. And both teams end up in either the teens or low 20s. So under 44.
Under 44 for the Seahawks. Where are we going next? I'm a little lost on the sheets here.
Oh, that's all right. It is now
Is
time
it a
for
lightning round?
my favorite portion of the show, lightning round college football. And we got a lot of lightning for us.
Yeah, I'll take the lead here, I guess.
Please do.
I won't cover Wake Forest's victory this evening because you guys watching didn't see that, unfortunately. So we'll start off with Iowa State minus 2.5. We all wonder what the fuck, playing 21 ranked Kansas just beat Oklahoma. How in the fuck are they favorites? We're gonna slam the fuck out of that. I don't want to infringe myself, but somebody on a Disney channel says something not so quickly.
I have no idea if Corso has IP rights to that or not, but that's hilarious.
There's zero chance that they should be ranked, or this should be the line. Red flag, 100%. I can tell you any reason one bit or another, but the fact that they are this high of a favorite, and I know it's less than a possession, it's a typical college letdown game. Campbell, at one point, I knew the stats, and then he became irrelevant. This is probably the bigger game Iowa State plays outside of Iowa. They're playing a ranked team at home, I think. Or if not, like it's even a bigger red flag, but I'm about 1,000% sure they're playing at home. This is just a buy on the number. 100% a buy on the number. Vegas isn't in it to lose it. They want people to be like, oh, Kansas just beat whatever the fuck Oklahoma was, 9 or whatever. They're going to blow them out. Let down spot. 100%. Like, I would may put a lot of money on this game, but that's how I see that game. Moving down to Oklahoma, Okie State here. They are 9-0 and 9-0 straight up, 9-0 against the spread. I, 9-0 against the spread. 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 9-0 they're playing. They struggled early. I like me some Van Gundy. I do think Oklahoma is good, but 6. It's going to be one of two things. They cover the 6 or they win outright. So I double dipped, took them outright and the 6. It's a rivalry game. Everybody wants to keep telling Oklahoma State that they're the little brother. But prove it. I mean, Oklahoma under what's his nuts? They were soft too. Like Oklahoma's soft. At least Oklahoma will come and punch you in the mouth. So, any thoughts from the group?
Idea how Venables' team is going to bounce back. So, going on the road again. Give me that fucking character, Gundy.
Yeah. This game I would put an asterisk on because I love me some Kansas State. Kansas State versus Texas. Texas is -4 at home. I took Texas -4 because I think this is a low buy on Texas. Texas is still a good team. They lose to Oklahoma. Oklahoma loses to Kansas. Everybody thinks, oh, Texas is not Texas. Hey, are we back? I don't know if they're back. And it pains me, just like last week. I backed Wyoming several times. I took Boise State. Boise State beat them. I think it's the same thing. I think it's just a low total for Texas to come back and beat the brakes off of K-State. Everybody sees that little number next to them, thinking they're better. Texas is far superior. Whether or not they play that is, what they do on the field. But -4 is not a great number as far as key numbers. But we've talked about it. College plays a little different. I definitely wouldn't back K-State. And in the event you are crazy enough to, I would take a money line. But now to the glitz and the glamour of things. Nebraska -3 versus Michigan State. Man,
The glitz and glamour.
This might be the worst football game ever.
Fuck the Cornhuskers.
like they run the ball. I don't know what Michigan State does outside of bitch and moan.
Me either.
Prove me wrong. Like I don't know if Nebraska should be favored in any game, but they're not that bad, and they are way better coached. Give me the 3 all day long. Rapid fire, Virginia Tech, Louisville. Virginia Tech sneaky. Louisville, shut out Duke. Outside of the Notre Dame and Clemson win, or Notre Dame game and Clemson win, maybe Duke was a little over hype. They do play defense. Louisville was still able to hang up. Not enough because I had the over last week. So, but that being said, Virginia Tech, nobody talks about them. They're not Virginia Tech of the Beamer days, but they are not the Virginia Tech of our generation that are just complete dog shit. So give me the opportunity that they put up 18, 20, push the total over.
Rooting for those Vatek points. I'm not mad at that.
Yeah, well, both points. Louisville's going to score. Like, Virginia Tech is not Duke's defense. Duke's defense was good. Louisville is not Lamar Jackson Louisville, but they still put up some points. The opposite of the public here, I'll let the public have a minute after I speak. Eventually, Vegas is going to win. You keep pushing the total low enough. 31, I think, is the high side. I thought I saw 29.5 not too long ago. Northwestern beat Maryland last week. Maybe there's a little hype. Who knows? This game could be 7-0, and I cover public covers. Northwestern, if they do, I'll give you whatever. Northwestern is not scoring more than 10 points. Iowa, on a muff punt, something, they're at least getting to 16. So that's how I see that game. Public, yourself?
Yeah, I see very few points in this game. So if they score 4 touchdowns, I will be shocked. Far more likely that there's some field goals mixed in. And 13-3 sounds about right to me.
I would take it as a winner. For you 3 subscribers that continue to watch this, you've heard me say this every week. I'm a glutton for punishment. If you didn't know, Illinois plays Minnesota this weekend. Naturally, I have a bet on it.
Yeah, weird. I didn't know that.
Minnesota's a better team. Illinois, it was week 6. We talked about it. I was 0-5 on Illinois. Still don't care. They're 2-0, or 2-0-1, or 3-0. I don't give a fuck. Pardon my bleep. Put a good old bleep in there. Minnesota, I like both coaches, but they're better coached with at least more entrenched personnel. I don't know. If 2's a trap, I'm trapped up, but I think it's a joke of a line. That's why I'm on Minnesota -2. We can talk all day about Big Ten football, but pretty sure we're over that. So we'll get to the high flying pack that's not going to be there anymore. USC, play defense, prove it. You gave up 49 to Cal. The only concern I'm on the over of 76.5. Only concern is played Utah. They punch you in the mouth. They shut you down. One consistent is you haven't proven you can stop anybody. So Washington might hang up 60. So I think you can score 20. That's my play. Public, I know you have some different thoughts. What do you have to say?
This is just an extremely high point total. That's 76.5. And while I don't think it's unattainable for these two teams, for all the reasons that you mentioned, I am more inclined to think that USC hits the bed and that Washington can actually defend them enough to keep the point total down, and that Washington, in terms of game script, will try and keep the ball away from Caleb Williams. So that will lend itself to less possessions. So that's the only reason I'm on the under. I think Washington kicks their ass, though. I would be shocked if they didn't cover.
You think Washington kicks their ass?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
SC can't fucking defend. Like, if Phoenix wants to score on every drive, he will. Their offense is really good.
I think that's why I'm more leaning towards that over as well, because I don't see either team defending here. I don't see it being a blowout on either side either. This is going to be a close Pac-12 game. I could see if you're like, it's not going to be that high scoring, but I don't see that. I just don't see these defenses showing up. These are high-powered offenses.
yeah, to add to that, so Washington's laid an egg the last 2 weeks as far as high flying.
Yeah.
That's a little bit why I picked the over. The other point, and I wish I had the actual numbers. I just know it betting responsibly too much. Total's over 70, or what is it? 70 or 75, whatever. This total gets to that number. Vegas is such a liability that they've got to put it somewhere to where it's like, coin flip maybe, but it always leans to the over. Now, if they were to throw like an 83 out there, like they would get potentially their value, now they're hoping for that. Like, I did know the word before I started talking, but so they kind of throw these games at a set number and let the market play, and then maybe there's a big buyback here or a big buy up. They try to split the difference, but if they were to actually run, this is hypothetical here, but they were running numbers, say, hey, 22 offense, it should be 85. Obviously, they're not going to go to the high point. They might split the difference, 80. Bam, then they might have liability, 80 and under. Once it hit 75, have the buyback. That's why I'm on the over. And layman's terms, USC, show me you can stop somebody ever. Like 2 punts. Just show me that, and I'll be like, oh, maybe they're getting it together, but they don't give a fuck. USC's a joke still. They have Lincoln Riley, Caleb Williams. They're this close to Colorado, except they're kind of good. But they're all smoke and mirrors, in my opinion. Which leads me to Colorado. Remember 8 weeks ago, everybody's like, oh my God, these guys might play for the national championship, and they beat TCU that just lost to Texas Tech by 2 touchdowns. I didn't look at the final score, but I'm pretty sure it was 2 touchdowns today. Colorado's on a 4-game losing streak. They gave up a 29-0 lead, just flexing on people, to Stanford. Oregon State in Corvallis is like the Western style Alabama. Joking, of course. You're not going to Corvallis and winning, let alone like covering a number. If there wasn't a hype here, Oregon State's got some D linemen. They've got a quarterback that they are as close to, for the group here, Utah at home versus anybody. Like, they just win at home. They've got a good team. They're very well coached. Colorado's going to get their breaks beat off. And the Dion effect is just going to slowly stop. Outside of him calling people out, this is right after he called people out, too. You're telling me they're going to respond, be like, oh, he thinks we're shit, and he's just going to replace us, and we're going to get out there and block better? No, it's an ability thing. They cannot do it, or the coaches cannot scheme for it. It's a flaw. It's been a flaw. That's why I'm still pissed I lost to Nebraska weeks ago, but long story short, Colorado is a fraud, a complete fraud.
So I'm with you here in terms of Colorado not being able to cover. As far as them being a fraud, I think it's a shame that they have to deal with the expectations that the media created after they went 4-0. And a large part of that is because, Dion's the fucking man, and he knows how to play to the media and tell the story. And you can watch on the documentary that they got on Prime at Jackson State on Prime Video. So you can see he knows exactly how to handle the media, and that lends itself to more coverage for his team because he's fun to follow. He's fun to be around. So yeah, generates a ton of money. That being said, one caveat here is this game is in Colorado, not in Corvallis. But I don't think that matters because, as you pointed out, they blew a 30-point lead to Stanford while they were also at home. So I was more pointing that out for the benefit of you, just in case you're, in the area and needed to dodge traffic. Now you know it'll be there. But Oregon State is a tough team in the exact spot where Colorado sucks right now, and that's in the trenches. So Fedor might not even get the ball fucking 5 times total in this game because Oregon State's just going to pound the shit out of them the entire time, and the offense and defensive line. And I feel that whatever Fedor's issue is that causes him to keep the ball so long and get hit continually, like whether that's just him trying to, it's funny because I wonder if you watch that quarterback documentary with Mahomes and Mahomes saying like, oh, I had to take more risk when I didn't have as much talent around me. So he's like trying to do that same model. And if he is, get rid of the fucking ball before you really hurt yourself this year because somebody is going to kill you. And it is not worth it. He needs to be getting the ball out of his hands quicker and quit taking so many hits because they really do fuck him over on the offensive line a ton. And Dion can call people out all he wants. I agree. Not going to do much when those guys just don't have the ability to block in the Pac-12. So it's going to be a rough go for the Buffaloes. I have the under here at 62.5. I may follow you on the way in the points. There's just no way Colorado does shit, and Oregon State likes to go slow and plodding through their offense. So under 62.5 is where I'm land.
Yeah, I like the under bet. If I know anything about the Pac-12, it's don't try and act like you know what's going to happen in these Pac-12 matchups late in the year because they tend to go way the fuck off script. But anyway, what's next?
Yeah, to add to that, honestly, I could give a shit less. It could be 18 points. We're still talking Oregon State. Corvallis, fucking downtown Denver. It could be fucking Las Vegas prime time. Oregon State's still going to travel.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm a little bit rooting for it, kind of, not 100%. You mentioned 4-0. I don't think they make a bowl game. If you look at the schedule, I don't have it pulled up, but
yeah,
this was supposed to be one of their victories I think they got well, Stanford was supposed to be one of the victories too. There's a couple coming up. I don't know.
They finished with Arizona, Washington State, and Utah.
Yeah,
Wazoo's the only win in that's possible. Arizona's beating that ass, and Utah's gonna beat that ass.
I agree. And even Wazoo, like everybody's going to show up. Like,
Yeah, they're
you
not
want
gonna be fake,
yeah, you want to
especially if
call
that
for
game's
that
in
smoke.
Pullman.
Yeah, you want to call for everybody's smoke. Say you better get us now. Like, I don't know.
They're coming to get you now.
Yeah, they're coming
That
to
game
get
is
you whenever you're
that
on a
game is in
schedule.
Pullman, by the way. That's an L. They're in Washington State. That's an L.
Yeah, they ain't going bowling. They're not. If they don't win this week, they're not going bowling. You had a game. I'll let you. 18. Oh yeah, 18 was the number. I've mentioned multiple times. Service Academy's under is like 40 and 18. I left it off my ticket, and I'll rebuttal why, but have at it, public.
Yeah, I mean, this is what is the quote in the video? Service Academy unders. It's an autoplay, really. You know, that's pretty much the thinking here in terms of laying the points. Army is just, obviously our Army generally really amazing. At football, not so hot this year. So I think the Air Force Falcons fly pretty high here. The only reason that I'm scared about laying the 18 is if they're just too kind to actually beat them by 18 and a half. So, but I think the under holds, unless this is one of those fluke games. But tell me why those Falcons are going to hit the over.
Yeah, I wish I had an answer. That's why I didn't bet it. So against Navy, there was some quarterback concerns. I don't even remember if he played or not, but the game still played under. Army, compared to Navy, traditionally is better over the last 8 years, give or take. Neither one were terrible, but the last little bit, Army's been decent. This year, Army, I don't know. Maybe they're in fucking. I don't want to finish the sentence there. Maybe they're somewhere else, or maybe they're a service academy and don't have it. Air Force is a legit school. Like, they could be a college football school tomorrow. I think they're not going to run away with the score intentionally. But if Army, like, I would lay the 19 or 18 and a half versus the under, because they probably both happen, whether it's a misassignment, boom, 30-yard run. Like, they're not here to embarrass anybody. It's just, if you're not sound or you don't have the dudes and you get outmanned, that's what happens. That's why I didn't touch the game. But yes, traditionally, Service Academy unders are like 41 and 19 the last 5 years. Like, it is an auto bet, but every now and then you get those uglies. Vegas probably knows that. We already had a Service Academy under. Obviously, they don't have a lot mortgaged on that. They don't really care. but Air Force speaking, they're a different service academy. They actually can score. They know how to forward pass. I think a lot of the service academies pride themselves on not adding the forward pass in some of their games.
Well, can we
Yeah.
talk about a game that maybe will feature a forward pass? I'm surprised it's not on the sheet. The Catholic Church in Notre Dame is going up the Church of Dabo Sweeney, and the fucking program built on INL, and that's the name, image and likeness of Christ in Clemson. And in God's name, Notre Dame should beat the shit out of Clemson's name. Like, I know they're in Clemson, they're in Carolina, but I just don't see any reason why it's +3.
Take it away,
Especially because
Pablo.
Dabo's getting bitchy on the radio and fucking yelling at his own fans, trying to justify his job. He's about to fucking see God, the real God. Notre Dame's about to wax that ass, so fuck Dabo. Get the fuck out of here with your God's name, image, and likeness.
Where does Dabo go when they fucking run his holy ass out of town?
You got that on your sheet? I didn't see it on your sheet. I know
I
you
just-
have it personally.
I just slipped it in on the sheet because I absolutely have it on the ticket. I locked that in early just because I got it at 2.5. And just in case Notre Dame decides to fucking shit the bed and only come back late, I make sure I cover myself. But I know that Notre Dame's quarterback is very familiar with Clemson and used to tear their ass up when he was at fucking Wake Forest. So this is not going to be an unfamiliar opponent. And he has a better running game and much better defense to help him out now. So Clemson can, again, you guys are making me say bad things about Clemson, and I really shouldn't, because maybe they do have a side of God etched down. I don't know.
Speak for yourself. On behalf of this side of the podcast, fuck Clemson.
Yeah, I went back and forth quite a bit on this game. And then when it was like 94% bet on Notre Dame, I kind of stepped away, seeing if I can get a better number. I truthfully believe there's only one side to bet, and that's Notre Dame. Clemson, prove it. I don't know. I guess it's not scared by any means, but typically when you have that high of bets on a game, my brain always makes me kind of pause. So I'm in the pause stage, but I agree. There's only one side to play. Like, you won't be seeing no outside of Clemson money or in play large numbers. It's either Notre Dame or nothing. But I'm not about to add them quite yet. I have zero faith in Clemson at all. But Notre Dame also has yet to wow me in some of their games either. I know they covered for me last week against Pitt, but there's some clunkiness, but Clemson is about as terrible as you can be with having top recruits. So I would say that's a good bet as of 11-2.
All right, on over
Well,
the Nightcappers.
before we go, I just because I do want to touch on some of these games that I feel like I'm going to be watching, and you can include these in the sheet or not, but we'll do a Steven lightning round. Um, Ohio State will cover. The numbers currently at 18.5. Texas going to cover 4. And just running down the list of games again that you're going to be watching, that I'm going to be watching. Georgia, you're going to cover 15 against Missouri. Not even fucking close.
They might lose outright.
Penn State, they might lose outright.
Time out.
Easy. Okay, we'll circle back to that. Penn State gonna cover the 9 against Maryland. Easy. No, you're shaking your head. No, sorry. This is the Steve Wachowski lightning round. We'll circle back after we get to Michigan. Definitely gonna cover the 32.5 against Purdue. Alabama definitely gonna cover the 3 against LSU. Uh, and that'll carry you through your evening. Probably be asleep by then, but let's go. Tell me why I'm wrong on those games, Zesty.
If you follow all those games, you might be fucking drunk and passed out. You're so angry.
So Missouri, Penn State, Michigan, those games. I forget so when the ratings turn over, a new ranking, 6 straight weeks or years, excuse me. Michigan, Penn State, Ohio State, or Georgia. Those are the 4 new ones. 6 straight years, one of those 4 teams have lost outright. I'm just saying, it's not the week to bet heavy favorites. Could be a different year. I don't have any say in any of them. Purdue versus Michigan. Who knows? Maybe they're distracted. They didn't have signs stolen. Maybe they stay within 32. If I were to bet one of them to lose outright, it would be Georgia and Penn State. That's more Franklin. I believe Franklin is a favorite. Is 9-19, straight up, or maybe against the spread. I don't remember. Regardless, you're getting 10 games. MIZZOU, I just can't judge Georgia. They're not. I know they beat the brakes off Florida, but Florida's garbage. MIZZOU might cause some issues. I don't know if they can win outright. I still think Georgia is Bama of old. They just play with the food and then kill them. But 15.5 is either worth a late cover or outright win. I don't think it's in between. I don't think it's going to be back and forth. Definitely, I mentioned it. I definitely wouldn't back Purdue to win outright because that's if you do. I would, lower your limits 100% and just look smart amongst your friends.
I don't see Michigan or Georgia giving up any points this week. Throw that on the fucking card. Throw that on the ticket.
You're crazy.
I'm a wild boy.
I got 2 more.
Purdue.
Yeah, I got Fresno minus 2.5 against Boise State. Fresno and Boise both made me money last week. Fresno looked less than great, but they've got a quarterback in Hoyer, or Haener. They play good offense. They play good. They kind of own their, what are they, the fucking Mountain West still? I like Boise too. I think it's a bad spot for them. And then to close it out, Arizona over 50 with UCLA. I'm starting to like the Wildcats. They play with reckless abandon. UCLA is not Chip Kelly of old. They don't play as run and gun. But if you start to trail early, like I would take them money line. I think it's 2. So I don't think the value is so much there, but you're going to start to force the hand. So UCLA plays good defense. They got some guys up front, but I'm a believer in the Wildcats.
Homecoming down there in Tucson too. Let the Wild Kitties bring you home, sing you to sleep. Get that one last victory.
Wild Kitties.
Well,
all right, gentlemen.
It has been a pleasure. As we said at the start of this, both Zest and I are batting around a 55% clip. So do your best, bet your worst. Only bet what you can lose.
I was not throwing gang signs. I was trying to do.
We don't know how to do those on this podcast.
I was doing A, B, C, D.
We literally don't even know what that are.
This is 6, and this is supposed to be a K. So
what's that?
I don't know.
6K is that max bet.
Yeah. Well, best of luck, everybody.
Hey, there might be a lot of editing going on in this session here. What are we at?
No editing needed. We didn't say anything that needs to be cut out.
How many views did we get